To ask the Scottish Government what its response is to reports of claims by a whistleblower at Police Scotland that officers are being coerced into logging individuals in line with their gender identity, even in serious sexual assault.
Cabinet Secretary Angela Constance.
Presiding Officer, while decisions on how crime data are recorded are operational matters for Police Scotland has been clear it does not direct officers to record sex or gender in a way that breaches legal obligations. I also expect them to ensure their practices are lawful and support accurate and consistent data collection. Police Scotland is already reviewing how it records and uses sex and gender data. That review was underway before the recent Supreme Court judgment, and it will now take full account of the ruling when reaching its conclusions and making recommendations. Public bodies are also guided by advice from Chief Statistician, which encourages data collection based on user needs and context.
Pauline McNeill.
Well, it is far from clear. Reports in the press are that widespread confusion and unease among staff about how suspects who identify as transgender are recorded in official systems. Many staff say they have to record someone and indeed search them based on how they present, even if that is the moment of arrest. And it appears that there's no official guidance, so staff are left to navigate sensitive and legally significant decisions without clear guidance. A whistleblower said it is putting officers and staff in a situation where they are having to do things where no one knows where this decision is coming from and there is no actual policy. People are just feeling kind of coerced into doing it. So I ask again, given the press reports, is the Cabinet Secretary not concerned about the apparent lack of clarity being experienced by officers in the front line about how to record the sex and gender of suspected serious sexual offenders?
Cabinet Secretary.
Presiding Officer, I do believe that there currently is clarity, and if I could provide the response that Police Scotland gave, bearing in mind this is an operational matter that they gave in response to the press reports, where it was said it is inaccurate and misleading to suggest a male accused of rape would be recorded as a woman. It is inaccurate and misleading to suggest female officers and members of staff are coerced into carrying out intimate searches on male prisoners. The Chief Constable has been clear that our ongoing review of sex and gender will take into account all views, the legislation, guidance and legal advice. And if I can reassure the member that in my engagement, notwithstanding that these are operational matters, but I do discuss this with the Chief Constable and progress has been made.
Pauline McNeill.
I hope the Cabinet Secretary would agree with me that it is critical in sexual offences that the offender is recorded on the basis of their sex, because it distorts the statistics otherwise. But in September 24, the Chief Constable stated that rape and other sexual offences would be recorded on the basis of biological sex. So we're happy. But in a letter to me and in press reports, they've indicated since then that there is no set policy on how to record sex and gender of individuals. So I stand by what I said in that press report. It must be true, because there is clear confusion. And that's why I wrote to Police Scotland. And Police Scotland is currently undertaking a review of sex and gender. I asked the Cabinet Secretary, surely she must have a discussion now with Police Scotland about how they're recording sex when it comes to sexual crime, and that there's clarity for police officers on the front line. And does she also agree that it's absolutely critical that the Government give the proper guidance in relation to all public services?
Cabinet Secretary.
Presiding Officer, in September 2024, the Chief Constable advised the Scottish Police Authority that a man who commits rape or serious sexual assaults will be recorded by Police Scotland as a male. And I do acknowledge and respect that Ms McNeill has long voiced her strong and clear views on this matter, that the importance of using biological sex for data accuracy, understanding patterns of offending behaviour and shaping public policy, and I would also concur with the importance of transparency and the accuracy of data. So the Police Scotland is responsible for their own guidance, which they are reviewing. They do, of course, will have to ensure that they fully comply with the Supreme Court judgment and also the Equalities Human Rights Commission guidance when that is published. That is currently under review. The review of that, I understand, will end at the end of this month. And further to that, the Scottish Government has a government-wide commitment to ensure that our own recording of sex and gender is in line with the very best of statistical practice and the guidance that goes with that, but it is also fully compliant with the Supreme Court judgment.
We're now within the final minute allocated for this item, so I must insist that questions and responses are brief. I call Tess White.
Cabinet Secretary, Police Scotland's review on the recording of sex and gender is ongoing, but it's not an excuse to kick the can down the road. The force provided assurances to the Scottish Police Authority that the timeline for review does not preclude any immediate improvements identified and required to internal practice or policy, and that's in stark contrast with the meeting the Cabinet Secretary herself held with the Chief Constable on the 30th of April, in which she emphasised that Police Scotland must await EHRC guidance on the Supreme Court ruling. Will her government now get off the fence and finally issue an urgent directive to public bodies to comply with the law and put an end to this mess?
Cabinet Secretary.
Presiding Officer, the Scottish Government is indeed taking action now, and that action now, right now, is focused on ensuring that come the issuing of guidance from the EHRC, who are after all the regulator, that we are in a state of readiness to progress matters. That applies to Government and it also applies to Police Scotland.